But first up, we're off up the Henderson Valley to check out a character that makes trolls.
Built the place about 8-9 years ago now from a bit of land that they couldn't sell, and it's really steep. And I wanted to create something like my own childhood, because when I was little I couldn't read, and I used to spend a lot of time drawing houses, fantasy houses that I'd like to live in. I remember the first time we went to see Snow White and the Seven Dwarfs, I was captivated by this house that was full of carving, and it was a woodman's house. And I thought, even when I was very young, I want to live in a woodman's house, but I didn't want to let go of fantasy. And so after years of engineering and planning, I came up with something that could preserve fantasy and still be strong, still meet all the regulations. And so I built a house. I built a house to live in. I built a house that I didn't have to grow up in. And it's also, I guess, quite focused on the fact that my father's family's Scandinavian, and Scandinavian folklore is very strong still in me. When we were little kids, we had books at home, one in particular that we weren't allowed to touch, that my parents kept in their bedroom. And it was full of these pictures of Hansel and Gretel and this amazing house that the witch lived in. And it was carved, and the cakes were carved, and little things appeared when you pulled tabs. You weren't allowed to touch them, but you did it anyway. From that came a passion for illustration. Like, I don't just illustrate in 2D, I illustrate children's books, but I also work in 3D, and I see what I do in 3D as illustration, and I see my architecture as illustration too. So it's all creating a world that you can't get in reality. And so you find that you're working in wood and ceramic and paper and paints and stone, and all those things come together in a living dimension. And by the same token, your garden becomes that. I mean, I'm sitting in the middle of a poisonous garden. That's because the book I'm just working on now is The Three Billy Goats Gruff, told from the troll's perspective. And the troll grows these wonderful, wonderful plants for thatching his roof so he doesn't get invaded by insects, but they're all poisonous. And the books teach kids about poisonous plants, so I grow them in my garden and I draw them through every month. So I'm not just doing the sketch of the thing, I've got a dialogue going on with the plants, so I know it in each season, so that when I come to do the illustration finally, I get a reality that's born out of really knowing the thing. I use my plants to make medicines. I'm a pretty healthy person, so basically it's a cupboard full of medicines that I don't use very much, but woe betide anybody who gets sick or cuts themselves up here because they get poulticed by whatever's in the cupboard. But it gives me the opportunity to take what is seen as fantasy back into a dimension that was really once working. I don't think fantasy is play or is light, because some people tune in, like, I don't have a television in my house, I don't buy newspapers. Some people tune into those things for their entertainment. I guess it's what television's about. But some people tune into books to read for their entertainment. I tune into a lifestyle for my entertainment. I tune into what I make with my hands, and that becomes my entertainment. There's nothing more pleasurable than sitting out on your deck, carving a piece of wood all morning and watching something grow up out of your fingers. And if that's fantasy, then that's a fine thing, that's a good thing, because it's nurturing. And on top of that, you're not just taking, like if you're just sitting there being entertained, you're just taking. Whereas if you're making something, you're getting the enjoyment but contributing something back out. And so the gifts that I give to my family and to the people I love are fine things. The strange thing about this world is that when people come here, like if my family gets sick, they come here and they get well quickly, because it's the other pole on a lifestyle. Like I live and work in a very high-power job, right in the heart of academia. And when I shut the gates on my house, the world is shut out. There's nettle planted around the edge of my fence in case anybody walks around, and they never get round. I don't even have a dog as a guard, I just have the nature of the place to keep that world out. And that's because somehow if you have an extreme of one, which is my life in terms of making money, I have to have something to balance that out because I throw everything into that. So I have to have something to feed me on the other end. And this is all the stuff that world doesn't respect. It's the stuff like creation without compromise. It's the stuff about humour and joy. Like you're expected to treat art as a fairly serious thing. Play is not actually respected much in academia. Satire is, but playfulness is not. Well, when I come here, I shut my gates and I play all night, and I play all weekend, and I play every chance I can get with unabashed enjoyment and no rules around it. And out of that play come things that other people buy, want, value, enjoy, just as I have.